10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 141. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. This is episode 141. My name is Nick Manella. I'm the creator and host of this show. If you are new to the podcast, welcome in. We are so glad to have you here. If you're a returning member of our listening audience, thank you so much for tuning in week after week. We're very excited to bring you many new episodes in 2019. So just to let you know, you can grab the PDF to this episode and all 140 other episodes of the podcast by heading over to our Patreon page. You can get there by visiting our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, clicking on one of the Patreon banners and heading over to that website. Sign up. $3 a month gets you access to all of the PDFs. I wanted to welcome some new people to the Patreon family. Thank you to Christian and Becca for signing up for Patreon this week. Your support means the world to us, and it really keeps the podcast going, coming at you every week with brand new material. Hey, we also wanted to let you know that we're starting a new program here. We've got a few openings in our Skype online lesson studio, and that's one-on-one private lessons with me over Skype. So anywhere in the world, we've got students from all over. We've got students in France. We have students in the UK, students all over the United States. That is a great way to really supercharge your learning with a personalized program and personalized attention that's based just on you to get you as far as you possibly can with this music. It also gets you the accountability of actually having to play for me every single week, which I think is really important. I've been taking Skype lessons for about 8 years now with several different teachers, and I'll never stop. It's just really important to have that one-on-one feedback. And I know that I definitely would not be where I am right now as a musician if it wasn't for those private lessons. So we are offering a free 10-minute consultation over Skype where you can explain to me your goals with the music and get a personalized roadmap on how you're going to get from where you're at to where you want to be. Now that is absolutely free, no charge, to see if we're a good fit for each other. I can explain to you what I would actually give you, and then we can go from there. So if you would like to take advantage of that, please email me 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com. There's not that many spots left in my Skype studio, so jump on that as soon as you can, and I will be filling those spots shortly. Okay, without further ado, let's get into today's show. So today we're going to talk about a really cool concept that has really opened up my playing, and I think it can really help you guys as well, and that is playing piano voicings in a linear fashion. So taking something that's normally played as a chord and spreading it out to its individual notes so that we can come up with some brand new ways of playing patterns. This is something that I do when I'm stuck in a rut. I feel like I don't have anything cool to come up with. I'll find either a piano transcription or I will go and transcribe some piano voicings, and I'll turn those into exercises for myself. And here's a couple of things that piano voicings will do for you, especially if you play a single line instrument. Now you can do this on a chordal instrument as well. It's simply just taking the chords and splitting them up into their requisite parts, but it's really, really useful if you play a single line instrument like saxophone, trumpet, trombone, clarinet, any of those types of instruments. We start to encounter some really, really interesting intervals when we study music this way. Because you have to think about when a piano player or a guitarist is playing a voicing, they're thinking about how everything is going to work together. And one of the ways that the best piano players and best chordal players out there come up with interesting voicings is by examining intervallic relationships and how they sound together. So maybe you have the choice of playing a third, let's say, but you could also play that as a tenth. And when you're playing those two notes together, they sound very, very different, whether it's a third or a tenth. Let me give you a little example. First, I'm going to play a major third. So that is two notes, two whole steps away from each other. And then I'm also going to play that interval as a tenth. And I want you to hear how they ring together very, very differently depending on the distance between the notes. So octave displacement plays a big role, and if you listen to some of your favorite modern jazz players, they're doing a lot of that as well, widening intervals, playing things that are unexpected. If you listen to a piano player comping and all they ever played was 1, 3, 5, and 7 in order, right up the keyboard, you would get bored of their playing pretty quickly. So the great pianists really spend a lot of time thinking about how they're going to construct their voicings, and we can benefit from that a lot. So what I've done for you this week on your PDF is I've given you 3 examples of piano voicings that are spread out into a linear fashion. I've gotten all of these from the book that Jamie Aebersold put out called Jazz Piano Voicings by Hal Galper. And this is just an awesome book. Hal Galper is one of the best musicians, one of the best pianists in the world, and his voicings are absolutely genius. So I jump to this book when I need some inspiration or when I need to do something a little bit differently, need some new ideas in my playing. And it's just a very, very interesting way to look at chords. So let's jump into the first example from this week. So the first one is this great chord voicing on an A7 chord. So Hal Galper plays G, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, and F sharp. So you can see these are just alternating notes, aren't they? Let's examine what the chord tones are that he's actually playing. So he starts on a G, which is the 7th. Then he goes up to a C sharp, which is the 3rd. Then up to the F sharp, which is the 13, which is such a great color tone on A7. Then he jumps from the F sharp up to C sharp, which is the 3rd, obviously, and then back up to F sharp. So not that many notes, literally just 3 notes, the 7, the 3, and the 13. But it is the intervallic relationship, which is really the important part when it comes to playing this in a linear fashion. So if you think about what the intervallic relationships are, it starts by going up a tritone, G to C sharp. And then that goes up a perfect 4th, C sharp to F sharp. Then that goes up a perfect 5th, F sharp to C sharp. And then it goes up another perfect 4th. So there's only a couple of notes, but what we're really interested in here is that intervallic relationship. So I'm going to play the chord voicing first as a block chord, and then I'm going to play it as a linear line. Yeah, a linear line. That sounds funny, but that's what it is, right? So I'm going to play it linearly second, and I'm going to play it as a block chord first. Check out how it sounds. So if you play a wind instrument, I'm willing to bet that you don't play intervals that wide very often. So what if you were to take this and put it in all 12 keys and then use it over dominant chords, right? So practicing 7, 3, 13, 3, 13, and then back down in every key. That would probably be super beneficial and super difficult for you. Let's take a look at the next one. So he's playing over an E flat 6 chord, and he's playing G, C, F, G, and B flat. Now we have more notes. So he starts on the 3, goes up to the 6, goes up to the 9, goes up to the 3, and then up to the 5. This is a really, really interesting voicing. So again, let me play it as a block chord, and then I'm going to play it in its individual parts for you. So that one's really, really interesting because it uses so many different parts of the chord. And a nice thing about that one as well is that you can use it over a major 7 chord as well as a 6 chord. So it's a really flexible line as well. I am definitely going to practice that one. I love the sound of that voicing when it's spread out in a linear fashion. What are the intervallic relationships? Starts with a perfect fourth, then another perfect fourth, then a whole step, and then a minor third. So a really interesting collection of intervals. Okay, now we're going to end with a really interesting chord. This is an F7 alt chord that he voices E flat, A, D flat, G flat, and then another D flat on top. So he's starting with the 7th, going up to the 3rd, going up to the flat 13, up to the flat 9, and then the flat 13 again. So all these really super interesting color tones. You'll also notice that he keeps the 7 and the 3rd in there. So amidst all these color tones, he's keeping something that grounds us in this, and that's a lesson unto itself. We won't get into that today. But let's check out what this one sounds. Again, block chord fashion, and then I will play it linearly. I love the sound of that one with all the different tension in it. It's a great way to learn some altered chords as well. So let's look at the intervallic relationship in that one. Starts with a tritone, again 7 to 3. Then it goes from A to D flat, so that's actually a major third. And then D flat to G flat, we've got the perfect fourth in there. And then we have G flat to D flat, so a fifth. So you can see he likes to use fourths and fifths a lot, and really relies on those for his particular sounds of his voicings. And that can be really important for us. Again, wider intervals than we usually play. And that can really, really give us a more interesting sound when we solo. So I want you to try this. Maybe take the first one, which is the simplest one in my opinion, because it is only 3 notes. And I want you to try transposing it into at least a couple of other keys. It doesn't have to be 12 keys all at once. And then take those transpositions and start plugging them into tunes. Now, I'm making it sound like a really, really easy process, but it's obviously going to take longer than that. But I want you to try this and see what it does for you. See if this opens up some new doors for your ears, opens up some new doors for your technique, because I think it's definitely going to. So shoot me any questions that you might have, 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com. Also, make sure if you are thinking about taking lessons, now is the time to take advantage of our free 10-minute consultation where we can kind of go over a plan, and I will tell you what we're going to work on in our lessons. It's the best way to get better as quickly as possible. All right. So email me with questions about that, and we can set up our free consultation. That is your time where we can talk about anything you would like over Skype or Zoom or whatever. Okay. All right. We will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week with more episodes. Bye.